You Will Dance.
Yes.
I heard something in that I really liked, and it was this thing called a wah-wah,
Yeah.
guitar solo. You know, which is great because I grew up in the wah-wah, era and all that stuff, and it's that. But it was played the way you played it. Was in a very sort of an honorable, traditional way that it's played, and it's kind of like a Hendrix influence. Was it really? Do you think? Had any influence with a wah-wah or any 60s craze?
Even though we're kind of like somewhat of a considered to be like a modern band, with like synthesizers and relatively like modern, construction of our songs, there's something about vintage guitar tones that are just outplay everything I've heard as far as like 90s and beyond. You know what I mean? It's just such this like true to the actual guitar. When you're playing it, that guitar is making that noise. It's not like processed at all. So yeah, absolutely. I take a ton of influence from like players like Phil Keaggy and Jimi Hendrix and Clapton. The greats. You know what I mean?
People realize with Phil Keaggy, those who are old enough might know, Phil Keaggy had 9 fingers.
Yeah.
And he wrapped. I think it was a Les Paul that he played. And he took what was left of his small finger and he wraps it around the master volume control on the guitar. And when he plays, he pulls the master volume control up and down.
Yeah, the volume swells. Yeah. If you listen to and I encourage everyone, if you guys get the Endless Contradiction, you'll hear it throughout. Largely the volume swells. You'll hear it all the time. I love that sound.
Just great stuff. And then of course, Opus in D minor uses a lot of great reverb effects. Okay, I like it. I'm curious on the reverb in that song. Was it by chance spring reverb? Do you know what spring reverb is?
Yeah.
It sounded more like spring reverb as opposed to plate reverb or digital reverb. Would it have been spring reverb?
It was actually.
Okay. Was it?
Yeah.
The reverb master.
Well, it was a reverb.
It was, I don't know, we recorded a lot of our material on Pro Tools, and there was, a few different kinds of programs out there that, offer different reverbs and different decay rates and stuff like that. And the digital was just a little bit too crisp, a little bit too clean, what I mean? So it sounded digital. Yeah. Plate reverbs get messy real quick, and the spring reverb just seemed to really kind of set well in the mix. I didn't find myself fighting a lot.
It's a fullness. It has a really interesting fullness.
Yeah, and some people say we're a little bit almost, I don't want to say sloshed, but we're kind of delay and reverb soaked. But it's a pretty common characteristics. People will run things to your reverb and then to a delay, so you get this really big sound. I love. And
what a great sound when you get spring reverb and all through a tube amp.
Oh yeah.
I mean those warm tubes are so
great.
great.
Tube amp is key for
I will share with you, as a 30-year veteran on the bass guitar, I have even to this day I have a huge stadium rig of all custom GK Galen Kruger equipment. Okay, nice. I hate it. I have my Ampeg V4B rig from 1972. That is in impeccable condition with 2 15s, and I put a few more tubes in it here or there. The tubes are only made in Russia, and man, is it great!
Yeah,
simplistic, and boy, is it great! And so what a difference in it. But those warm tubes are just a great combination.
Very much so key in a good recording.
So the you mentioned your feelings about sort of analog over digital. So you're doing the digital with the Pro Tools, but you're trying to get a lot more of the sort of the analog effects and the warmer effects of.
As far as analog versus digital, I wish I could say that we had the time or the money to record. Into analog preamps and then into a digital system, kind of have a hybrid system. But a lot of times, and I'm sure I'm not alone on this with local bands or even national bands, there's just not the money in it. You know what I mean? We just or the time to get everything set. So what we generally try to do is get the best possible sound out of our analog rigs. I run almost 90% analog pedals, and everything like that. And then he runs completely clean. And even our drummer has a pretty vintage sound as far. He has a Catalina set, which is not really fitting for our music, but it seems to work beautifully.
It works.
Yeah. So we try our best, and hope we aspire to getting into that to where we can actually have great preamps and a great overall analog. So, but I think we do a pretty good job as far as what we're kind of.
Sam, do you feel that you're much more of a recording act than a live act?
No, quite the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, I think if anything, we're kind of tame in the recording studio. We try to keep things together, and live it's just a 45-minute party.
Is it really? My God, that's great. You know, I'm curious, with all of these passions, do you ever feel like you were born too late in rock?
Yeah, I can.
In what period? If you could go back right now, at your age, in any period of rock, Sam, where would you like to be?
Oh, in any period of rock?
Doc's time machine.
Oh man, 70s.
70s for sure.
Back to the 70s.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely back to the 70s.
And why?
You know, back in the 70s, in order to get anywhere in the industry, you actually had to play and you had to work hard to get out there. You know what I mean? You know, like we were talking about before, when you have Clapton, Keggy, you know, Hendrix, all those guys, to even be considered, you know what I mean, you have to have like such a diverse, you know, thing about yourself. And now, you know, in you know, 2010, you know, anything you know, I know we record through Pro Tools, but I mean, like, you run it through Pro Tools Auto Tune and it's on the radio in a week. You know what I mean? There's no like vigorous. You don't have to work. You know, it's almost like record label. Oh, we're gonna give you $2 million to make your career happen, and then turn you out. And you know, sometimes that actually turns out really, really well. You know, like a ton of artists have like a really poppy career at the beginning, and then kind of go off and do something like more serious later on. You know, and that's great. But I mean, like, back in the 70s, man, I mean, like, and one band that came to mind, the reason I even said the 70s is Jefferson Airplane. Those guys are just...
Well, they're actually more 60s.
Oh, yeah.
They started late 60s, moving to 70s.
Cool.
You know, Jefferson Starship, Jefferson
Right.
Airplane first, and Jefferson Starship, yeah.
But yeah, just, I don't know, and like, you know, going back to, like, even my personal tone of, like, what I like CDs to sound like, or even myself, guitar tones to sound like, it's just...
You know, a fascinating thing, it's amazing for somebody of your age and generation to mention that band, because a lot of bands, especially in the psychedelic era, the song White Rabbit. White Rabbit, you know, is such an iconic song. You know, although it's not a total instrumental, but it was more or less considered the theme song of Vietnam, the war days, you know. But it's an incredible piece of music, because so much reserved was used in that song, you know, and just where people weren't over shredding or anything else, but it just captured a feeling. That was the generation. Really was the song of the generation. So
some of our biggest influences from that time era were like King Crimson, and also Rush.
There you go. Yeah. King Crimson is an instrumental band. Is a fantastic. Court of the Crimson King.
Of course, almost definitely.
You know, and it's funny because they're one of the original keyboard players lives in Cleveland.
Nice.
And he plays piano gigs in bars and things like that. So, you know, they say, "Oh, he's a very nice older Englishman." He was the first player in King Crimson, you know. Oh my God! So, but you never know. That's why I said it before. You never know who you're going to find. Influence with stuff like that. You do all your own management and booking and all that. So Sam, you're like the business driver?
Yeah.
Sam handles a lot of the like the booking and stuff.
Okay.
And he pretty much manages the entire band.
So what does Cody and Cameron do?
You know, they're...
Don't ask that.
No, they are more than willing to help. Whenever I ask them to do something, or, you know, whenever I, you know, try to express to them to, you know, like, go on the sites, you know, just to, like, rile up some people, or, you know, like, make sure that this and this people are invited to, you know, so, you know, just stuff like that. You know, look out in the area and see what other venues are open up. They're just, as soon as I ask them, they're right on it. You know what I mean? And I couldn't ask for two better members.
Really great. I'm glad to hear you say that, because it's, you know, because it's often hard sometimes. You know, bands, everybody's got an equal vote, and somebody's got to, you know, business direction, but the band's all got to move in the same direction without any animosity. So I salute the colonel. Oh, he's easy now. Okay, that's good. I'm just curious with gigs and your genre. You know, do you find when you're talking to clubs and all, I think you play the Outpost and some great places like that. But even beyond it, you know, when clubs say, "Well, let me check out your website," "Oh, it's psychedelic funk." You know, are they very open-minded about giving you opportunities for gigs, or does your genre, is that more of a handicap?
More so than just venues. Sometimes it's really hard to find bands that match, you know what I mean, that kind of like go well with stylistically. So I think any reservation that comes from venues comes in large part from finding someone else that can like kind of match with your styles. Like we played with a band, Hayden Calling, and you know they're much more vocal oriented than us. They have long like instrumental vamps, but you know they're large. You know they have a very big stick in the in vocals. But they just we both seem to complement each other extremely well.
So how do the clubs feel, the talent fires and clubs?
They
have psychedelic night?
It's kind of like 50-50, you know, I think as long as you present yourself as professionals and, you know, that you kind of display to them what your expectations are as from you and from them, that they're pretty more than willing, you know, I mean, to book, you know, just about anyone as long as you kind of bring a case before them that's just like, hey, you know what, we do our jobs well, we get people out, you know, people like our music. And honestly, sometimes I think people get a little bombarded. So to hear like an instrumental group, it's almost kind of like a break. Maybe not with us, but you know, I think more than anything, I think they're intrigued. You know, I think they're a little bit intrigued to see like, well, how the hell are they gonna make that work? You know what I mean? Like so, you know, and sometimes it goes well, and sometimes it, you know, kind of. Pans out, you know, 50-50.
Yeah, so. I can imagine. My gosh. The now, any upcoming gigs? So we need to know about it. We know about the CD again. What about gigs going on?
You know what? We actually have a gig this weekend at the Outpost. Like
where are you? Really?
Yeah, at the Outpost. That's September 10th. It's a Saturday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And that's with our good friends. If you guys have never heard of this band called PJ and the Whistlers, if you guys have never heard of those guys, they are an awesome, younger than us. Yeah, they're an awesome funk group out of Canton.
Really?
And they're phenomenal. And then also our good friends from Colored People, and he's a solo act actually. His name is Joe Mass.
Okay.
So it's going to be really, really interesting.
Great show at the Outpost. Yeah, you got to celebrate the Outpost. It's a great place to
absolutely. Book a show there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you've been around for so long and so dedicated. You know, that's great. Well, I wish you a lot of luck. Congratulations to you upon the CD in advance. You know, I hope there'll be a great CD release party. Okay.
Oh, for sure.
There better be. So you know, it's good, and I really appreciate all that you've shared and a lot of the philosophies that you have. I think they're absolutely great. So that's why you are the Colonel. Okay. Some great stuff there. So congratulations to you. And thanks for being on
Absolutely.
the Recovery Room. It is good stuff. And I'd like to say, of course, thank